watching. So on this week's video tutorial, I really wanted to do another gum paste flower tutorial for you. And as Christmas is almost here, I wanted to do something that you could add to your Christmas cakes. So I guess technically not a flower. In this week's video tutorial, I'm going to show you how I made this gum paste mistletoe. Okay? Let's get started. Okay, so the things that we're gonna need in order to make the mistletoe is, first of all, I've got my gum paste. Now I've got a green here, which I've just colored with the Sugar Flare Extra Green and added a slight amount of the Wilton Green. I've then got some white here and I've just added the tiniest amount of ivory just to make it an off-white color. I've then got 3 different sizes of mistletoe cutters. Now these are just gonna cut out the leaves. Okay, so I've then got some veiners. All you want is a veiner that has lines that will run up the leaf. And if you don't have veiners, that's absolutely fine. You can just keep them smooth. I've then got my bottle, my rolling pins, some edible glue and some confectioner's glaze. I've then got the wire. Now this is just 24 gauge wire and this one is by Colpit and it's already covered with a green floral tape. And I've also got some matching green floral tape and just some edible tin in the lemon yellow and the apple green. And lastly, I just have my foam mat and this board. Now this is just a veined board, so as you can see it's got these lines on there which just gives you more of the gum paste to poke the wire into. Now this board is by PME, but if you don't have one of these, that's absolutely fine. I will show you how to do the same effect with a rolling pin. Okay, so to start with, I'm just going to make the berries to go with the green leaves. So I'm just going to use some of my white gum paste and just take a really small amount, which when rolled out is going to give me a ball which is around 5mm in diameter. I'm then going to take one of my wires and just dip the end of that into some edible glue. I'm then just going to poke that into the ball and I'm going to keep going until you can see that wire just poking out the end. But I'm going to stop before it pierces all the way through the ball. So all it's going to give us is this little tip on the top of the berry. Now I'm going to go ahead and make a few of these. Now you usually find the berries in small clusters of around 2 or 3. So I want a few clusters in the bunch of mistletoe. Okay, so now we have all of our little berries. I'm just going to put these to one side just to let them dry slightly. Okay, so to give you an idea of size, the 3 different cutters that I've got a larger one which is just over 1 inch in length. The middle one is about 1 inch and the smaller one is just under 1 inch. And I'm going to be using all 3 cutters to give me a different range of sizes for my leaves. Okay, so to make the mistletoe leaves, I'm just going to take some of the green gum paste. And the first method I'm going to show you is just by using a rolling pin. So this is quite a small rolling pin and I'm just going to roll that gum paste out until it's about 3mm in thickness. I'm then just going to place the rolling pin down and just roll out one of the sides and just leaving a line in the center. I'm just going to roll out other side. Now all this is going to do is just give us a nice raised section of the gum paste just to add the wire in. So I'm going to continue rolling it out until it's as thin as I can get it, but leaving this small triangle. Okay, so once you've got that gum paste really thin, and as you can see I've still got this triangle there, I'm just going to take one of my cutters. Now this is just the largest one of the 3 and I'm just going to place that over the top so the bottom half is covering that raised section, and I'm just going to cut that out. I'm then just going to take one of my veiners, just push that in slightly. I'm then going to take one of my wires and just pop that into some edible glue. I can then pick up my leaf and just push that through the raised part, and then at the bottom I'm just going to push that gum paste onto the wire so that it's secure and just comes down into a point. Okay, so I'm just going to run my ball tool just around the edge, just to thin that out slightly. So there we have our first leaf. Now for some of my leaves I'm just going to keep them quite straight, and for others I'm just going to lay them in spoon just so that they're slightly curved over. Okay, so the other method is to use the veined board which already has these marks cut out. So all I'm going to do is just take some of that green gum paste again and just sit that that on top of one of the grooves. Closer to the edge of the board, the deeper the groove is. So I'm just going to place that on and then use my rolling pin, roll that as thinly as it will go. And then once you take it off, you get this same raised area of the gum paste that we created with the rolling pin. Now, I don't want it to come all the way up, so I'm just going to take my rolling pin and just flatten out that top section. I'm then going to take one of my leaf cutters. Now, this is just the middle size of the three, and I'm just going to place that over the top again, just so that raised area is at the bottom of the leaf shape. I'm then just going to take a wire and again just dip the end of that into some edible glue and just push that into the end of the leaf just to secure that. And again, just take my veiner. I'm just going to thin out that edge slightly and then just leave that dry. So I'm going to go ahead and make a whole stack of these leaves in exactly the same way, just so that we can create a bunch of mistletoe. Okay, so I've made all my berries and my leaves. So I've got my 8 berries here and I've actually made 30 different leaves. So I'm going to start by just finishing off the berries so that they're ready to put with the mistletoe leaves. So all I've got here is some confectioner's glaze, and I've also just scrunched up a ball of tin foil or aluminium foil just to hold the berries. So I'm just going to take a paintbrush and just paint this all over the berry, and all this is going to do is give it a realistic shine. And then I'm just going to pop that wire just into the foil just to hold it just until it dries. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the rest of these berries. Okay, so once the confectioner's glaze has been painted onto all the berries, I'm just going to put these to one side just to dry while we finish preparing our leaves. Okay, so I've got all my leaves here finished in the 3 different sizes, and all I'm going to do is just add some different tones of green and the yellow onto these, and I'm going to do this to the back and the front because you will see some of these leaves from different angles. Okay, so now I've got all of my leaves coloured. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is put my berries into little bunches. So I've got some of my floral tape. Now, the wire that I used already has a covering of the green floral tape. Now, if yours don't, you might want to cover these so that it starts from green at the top. But I'm just going to take my floral tape, pull it to activate it. I'm then going to start by taking 3 of my berries and just placing those together, and then just going to add my floral tape and start winding those. Now, I'm not going to go right the way to the end at this point, just because once I've got my bunches of berries and also bunches of leaves, I'm going to put them all together to make one complete bunch. So there we have our bunches of berries. I'm going to start putting my mistletoe together, but I'm going to do a few different stems of mistletoe and bring them all together. So if you look at real mistletoe, it usually grows in 2s, so you have one opposite the other. So I'm going to start by picking 2 of my mistletoe, and just where the bottom of the leaf ends and joins the wire, I'm just going to bend that back slightly, and I'm going to use my floral tape and just start by winding those together. Now, once I've gone around a few times, I'm going to add some more of my leaves in. So I'm going to take another 2. Now, the leaves sometimes do move as you wind around the floral tape, so they can just be moved back into place. Now, once I've got a few of those leaves, I'm just going to start adding some of my berries and just continue adding my leaves as I go down. This is the first little spray of mistletoe, so I'm going to go ahead and make a few different ones of these, just that have some with the berries in and some just with the leaves in, so that we can intertwine these all together to create one bunch. Okay, so I've actually made 4 separate pieces of mistletoe. So I'm just going to pick up the largest one to start with and just start to intertwine one of the other bits of mistletoe. And you can move some of the leaves around, and again do the same with the other 2 pieces. So as you can see, you're starting to get a bunch of mistletoe here. So you just want to make sure that they're all in the right place. So once you're happy with the position of all those those leaves, I'm just going to tape all 4 pieces together. So where I have ended the previous floral tape, I'm just going to start by adding a new layer and just wind that all the way down the stem. So here we have the finished mistletoe to add onto your Christmas or winter inspired cakes. I really hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial. If you have, then don't forget to give this video a like, and if you'd like to see more Christmas inspired videos, then head over to my channel and check those out. Also, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for all the new videos to come. Bye!